Our psalm today is number 121. I lift my eyes to the hills, a lot of people's favourite. When I do prayers in the House of Lords, the prayers include a psalm each day, and there's a bit of a convention there that the last day of each week it's this psalm 121. If the bishop on duty doesn't use it, he will be nobbled by some of the Lords why not, and you're often asked beforehand, you are going to use it, aren't you? The Lords seem to think, or they enjoy pretending that they think that the psalm is sending them back to their homes in the hills in the country after a heavy week in London. I lift my eyes to the hills. I want to go back home away from the city. I doubt that most of them actually live in the hills, and more to the point, that they've misunderstood the psalm, if that's what they think it's about. But it's a good psalm, and I'm happy to use it as part of prayers on that occasion. In the older version of the Bible, which is what tends to be used in the House of Lords, it said, of course, I lift my eyes to the hills, whence cometh my help, without a question mark, as if our help came from the hills. That isn't right. It isn't the original meaning. A good modern translation will always have a question mark. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where will my help come? Verse 2 tells us, my help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Help doesn't come from the hills, but from God. We may, if we live in hilly country, look around to the hills looking for help. We may even, as Jesus did, sometimes go into the hills to spend time talking and listening to God. Absolutely. I'm one who loves hill walking, and I do it when I can, holidays and other times. But we don't pretend that God lives in the hills, or that the hills are the only place we can be in contact with God or find our help. Hills, in my experience, can be a wonderful place to get away from the busyness of the world and meet with God. But it's God who is our help and strength and support, whether we live near hills and have access to them or not, whether you can see hills or not. And in Peterborough, you can't see many hills, I promise you. It's one of the flattest places on this earth. That doesn't matter, though. I lift up my eyes to the hills if I can. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord who made the heavens and the earth, everywhere, the flat places, the seas, as well as the hills. And it's the Lord who won't let your foot be moved, who will not slumber. It's the Lord who keeps Israel, for New Testament believers, who keeps his people, the believers in Jesus. He will neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade. The one, he's like a tree now, shading you from the extreme heat of the sun. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in from this time forth and forevermore. This psalm isn't about God being in the hills. It's about God being our keeper, our guard, our protector. And that's a wonderful thought. Wherever we are, in view of the hills or not, in the shade of a tree or not, in the heat of the sun or the glaring brightness of the moon, wherever we are, the Lord is our keeper. At night he doesn't sleep. In the day he isn't overwhelmed or over busy. He is always there for us. When we need to turn for help, it's to him we can turn. And even when we don't need to turn for help, I encourage you to turn to him anyway, because the Lord is your keeper. He wants to keep you, protect you, look after you now and always. Amen.